Welcome to the Healing Trauma Through Conscious Embodiment Summit, revealing your body's wisdom and utilizing creativity in healing. My name is Greg Westwood, and I'm your host. My work, Depth Integration, integrates meditation, breath work, inquiry, journey work, and movement as conscious embodiment tools for healing. The purpose of this summit is to support participants who are searching for that deeper and longer lasting healing that conscious embodiment tools support by revealing their body's wisdom and utilizing creativity and imagination in healing. My intention is to motivate, educate, and inspire each of us in taking empowered steps in our healing journeys. I'm so honored to introduce my next guest, Rob Wergin. He is an internationally known healer, and he's provided healing transformation for over 250,000 people in the past 19 years. And he has led large groups and small groups throughout the United States and Europe. Rob is featured in a feature-length film called Heal with Deepak Chopra, Michael Beckwith, Lipton, and Gregg Braden, and many others. Rob, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. My pleasure. Always good to share the gift, right?
Yeah. So how did you get started in your work?
I'll try to be quick, but when I was a little boy, I could see everything. I was talking to spirits and talking to animals, and they were talking back, and I just thought all little boys got to do that, But I realized pretty quickly that my parents didn't think that was very cool because they were German Lutherans. And, I was doing things that were making them very uncomfortable, even though I was raised as a Christian and raised as a Lutheran and taught to pray and all those things. I was making my parents very uncomfortable, and I didn't realize how much it was making them uncomfortable until they just at one point said they were convinced I was possessed by the devil. Because I was doing things that weren't normal. And even though, I was healing animals and talking to my parents, grandparents and things, even though I was doing things that weren't hurting anybody, in fact, I was helping people, it still frightened them. And so when I was about 7 years old, they actually took me to the Lutheran church and did an exorcism on me because they were so convinced that I was possessed. Wow. And, I look at that, it's always great to look back because it looks different going back, but I look at that as a huge gift that they gave me because, the alternative would have been they could have tried to turn me into some kind of a child wonder boy or something, and I probably would have not lived this long and probably gotten into alcohol and drugs or whatever. I don't know, but I think they did me a favor because it allowed me to be a normal human being for the next 45, 50 years. And, once I realized that, I was really grateful that they actually set me free from that so I could learn what a human being feels like and what goes through a human being's life. Now, fast forward to when I'm now 51 years old, which is, when was that? It was a long time ago. And I had a very traumatic experience when I was 51. Actually, I was getting ready. I thought I was going to retire. I'd made all this money as a corporate executive, and I thought I was going to retire. And at the last minute, everything got stolen from me. And so I went from really wealthy and really kind of materialistic cocky, not kind of, really cocky, to this guy who had nothing. I had zero. It had all been stolen. And, when you're 51 years old and you're a guy and you think you've got control of your life and all of a sudden you have no control of your life, it can be pretty devastating, obviously. So I did what, probably a lot of people do, is I turned to alcohol and painkillers to try to ease my way through this period of my life instead of just facing it head on. And so for the next 3.5 years or so, I just spun down into a deeper, darker place so that when I was 54, which was 2003, right in there, I tried to kill myself. And again, I'm not proclaiming this is a good way to get into this work. I'm just saying this is what my path was. And, I took all these pills and I went down. I lived in California. I went down to the beach and I thought, you know what? My life sucks and I might as well just get out of here. So I took all these pills and I went down to the beach and let me just back up for a second. Prior to that, if you would have asked me if I was religious, I would have told you I was an atheist, that I didn't believe in any of this crap. Okay, so that's I think an important point, because our parents had drilled religion in us so deeply that all the kids ran away from it when we got out of the house, including me. And I just thought that you were born, you died, that was it. You had one shot at it, and that's all. So I'm down at the beach, and I've taken all these pills, and whether I imagined it or not, I had an encounter with who I will call God. And I had an encounter with who I will call Jesus and many other religious type beings. And I often don't like to use those words because people have, half the people love Jesus and half the people aren't sure, right? And so if I use any deities' names, people can have all these opinions about them, so I tend not to. But in that moment, that's who I felt was around me, plus hundreds of other angels, and they just basically said to me, you're on a path that you have the absolute right to continue if you wish. However, there's a real need for what you do on the planet, and we'd like you to do what you did as a child. And of course, by that time in my life, I had no remembrance of what I did as a child. I'm like, what? My paper route? What are you talking about? And so they just said, when you were a child, you looked up at the sky and you said, God, would you please help this rabbit or this whatever? And then you would touch the rabbit and you'd feel this energy go through your body and the rabbit would be fine. That's all you have to do. And you're not going to do anything. It's not you doing it. You're just a vehicle. And so just, if you want to try that instead of trying what you were going to do, you're welcome to do it, but it's up to you. And, I'm simplifying this obviously, but in a matter of moments, I decided that I might as well do that, even though I didn't remember what I did as a child. And everything changed. All the drugs disappeared from my body. I felt completely different. I was obviously very confused, and I just said, I don't know what to do. And they said, go to Sedona and hang out there for a while and we'll help you. So this was in 2003 in February, and I went to Sedona. I had all these amazing magical, mystical experiences that I couldn't talk to anybody about them because they were so far out that people already thought I was crazy, and this would have convinced them, right? So I went over there, was there about a month, and came back to California. And then this whoever I was talking to, which I assumed was God, was giving me instructions, and one of the instructions was, now it's time for you to move to Sedona and be a healer. So that started in 2003. I had no training. I didn't go to a class. I didn't have a guru. I didn't even have somebody helping me. I just was talking to this being who I referred to as God, and was doing as I was told to do, which was basically trust, believe, and get out of the way and just observe what's happening, because you're not doing anything. And I used to say, but okay, if you're God and I'm Rob and I'm this mortal that used to be an atheist, which makes no sense, what do you need me for? Why don't you go direct, man? You don't need a guy in the middle. And they gave an answer to that, which I thought was really fascinating, because people ask me that all the time now. What do they need you for? And it's what I've learned is that it's really important for these beings that work with us to have a human interface that they can use to connect. So they use my energy. They use all my clairvoyant stuff to read other people's energy as human to human, not spirit to human. And they use me to do that. And then they use me to transmit energy from them to them to create the healing. I'm merely the connector. I'm the conduit, whatever you want to call it. I'm not doing anything. I just have learned how to get out of the way and completely surrender my energy and everything about me to God, and let God do with me what she wants to do. And I have no resistance. So that was my training. And I went to Sedona, and people started coming to my door and knocking on my door. And, That was a long, that was be 19 years ago. And, you know, we've worked on, you know, probably closer to 300,000 people by now, which is a lot of people, you know, and um, I, I'm one of those people that's very curious. Luckily, I'm fairly smart, so I pay attention. And, you know, my kind of deal that I struck with God was I will do this, but I do not want to be absent from it. I do not want to be in a trance. I don't want to not know what's going on. And I won't get in the way. I'm just very curious. And I want to be able to talk about this and help other people understand how this works on a very human way, not a deep metaphysical, lots of big words that nobody understands way, but like I can just tell it like it is, like one guy to the next person, right? So that's how it started 18, 19 years ago. And I've always referred to God or the divine as my teacher, and that these energies that surround me have been very willing to answer any question I ask. So if I get somebody with some strange disease, I will ask them what causes that, what the emotions are attached, where did it start in the body, where did it come from my own interest, not to educate the person, because what I've learned is the less the person knows about what we're doing, the better. Because, you know, if you know, they go talk about it, and then all the stuff I just pulled out of them gets brought back in because they just went to a healer and they have to tell the story. And so I'm very, very quiet with what I do because I don't want people to hang on to anything that I say, right? So I keep it very light and very kind of simplistic, but the work is very profound, and it seems to get more profound as we go here. And this last year, I've seen a huge increase in energy because, as we know, there's a big shift occurring like right now, and it's going to. The beings have told me that we're entering a new 10-year cycle that we get to create for ourselves this next 10 years. And so, do you want to create it by bringing forward everything that used to be your normal, or do you want to be really excited and create something new and exciting for you and your family? So that's kind of where we are in this moment. So trauma, we all have a lot of, and it can get in the way. You know, it can stop us, it can scare us, it can overcome us to a way that we can't seem to get through it sometimes. So in my work, I've worked with obviously lots of trauma people, and it can be from all kinds of different places. And, you know, the younger you are, the harder it falls, really, because it becomes part of your predominant energy. So we like to work with anyone that comes to us. They don't have to be dying or, you know, it could be anything, just spiritual progression or a major disease. And we use the same techniques with all people. We go to the energetic imprint that occurred at some point. And what I know is that and when I talk about we, it's the beings that I work with, we go to the very first energetic incident, which could have been your second incarnation, your first incarnation. It could have been yesterday. I don't know, and it doesn't really matter. We go to the source of the energetic imprint that's through the years, through the lifetimes, has continued to roll forward. And each time it rolls forward, it gets more powerful. And now here we are today with a stage 4 diagnosis, or an addiction, or not having money, or whatever it is. To me, all those things most likely occurred a long time ago. And unless we go get the tip of the root and pull it all the way out, like pulling out a dandelion in the spring, it's just going to come back. So so when people say, can you fix my right shoulder? I'll say to them, it's not your right shoulder. That's the outcome. Let's fix what's causing the right shoulder. If I worked on your right shoulder, it would feel good for an hour, and 2 hours from now, you'd say it didn't work. So don't concentrate on your right shoulder. Just get out of the way and let us go find the tip of the root that has grown into this thorny outcome in your shoulder. So I'm trying to be really simplistic, but that's kind of how it works. We go for these, I call them the weeds in your body that are creating your discomfort and pain and suffering, pull out the weed and then fill that space with divine light, which keeps the weed from coming back, and then brings more divine energy, which is unconditional love, into your body. And the more we do that, the better you feel, the longer you live, the abundance increases, and all those things. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me, but
Completely makes sense to me too.
okay.
I love how because I think I definitely intend to be like you, to bridge spirituality and body-centered work. And what you're saying there is, you're going to the root of the physical symptom, instead of just the physical symptom, which I think is it's the only way.
It is. And people sometimes want to, argue with me about it, like, but it's my shoulder that hurts. I'm like, but you want to do this or not, Um, but what I've found over the years is that, there's always an emotional connection. And
Right.
it's usually what's causing the outcome. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's migraines or stage 4 or something, or an addiction, or it doesn't matter. It's all stemming from something that occurred sometime in your past that just that's got a hold on you, and we got to get it out of there. And it's not what you think it is. And so don't be disappointed if I don't fix your shoulder on the first appointment, because we had to go down to your, I'm just making this up, but we had to go to your left knee and fix something, and then
Right.
had to work all the way it's up to your right shoulder, so relax, everybody. But the work is profound. I've seen people get up out of wheelchairs. I've seen cancer diagnosis disappear. I was reading an email just before we got on from a woman that was telling me about how her doctor was like just completely puzzled and confused, had no idea how this happened, because she was on her way to hospice, and now she's cancer free and very happy and very healthy. And he's like, I don't care what you're doing. I don't explain it. I probably don't agree with it, but whatever it is, keep doing it. And I'm like, all right. So, it's fascinating to me, because everybody's different. And so if I'd line 10 people up in a room and worked with all 10 people simultaneously, they'd all have different experiences, because we're all different, right? And so there's not like a recipe to what I do. I bring the light to the places in your body that are causing the outcomes you don't want. We change the density, the darkness, even though it's not evil, to light, and all of a sudden you feel different. And it's really quite simple, because it's just it's enlightening your shadow. It's enlightening the dark. It's enlightening something that's creating outcomes in your life that aren't working for you. And all you got to do is surrender and get out of the way. Let us get to that imprint. Let us take it out. Let us fill that space with light and move on to the next. It's very quick, and it's very it's actually easy. And people are like, how can it be easy? I'm like, because God knows what to do, right? So that's why it's easy. I don't have to figure it out. You don't have to figure it out. Some doctor doesn't have to figure it out. God just does it. So,
Right. I mean, my strongest intention in my life is to be lived by spirit. And so can you talk a little bit more about what it is to be a divine conduit? I mean, you say it's not a lot of work, but it's a talent.
uh, it's a lot of work. I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to
Yeah.
be honest with you. And, because the beings that I work with are always bringing people to me that I haven't seen yet, or that I'm going to see tomorrow, or they're bringing to me that I saw last week, or they're just always bringing people to me. And, it's for me, it's the greatest gift for me, is because I get to witness this beautiful work that's being done. And I never get tired of it, because it's always unique. It's always fascinating. I'm still like this little boy in a magic store going, did you see that? I'm still absolutely captivated by it. And yes, it's difficult. It takes a lot of energy, because imagine my body is, think of me as a transformer kind of, and
Right.
I'm getting 100,000 volts of divine energy right straight into my body that most other people could not withstand. And for some reason, I was built to withstand it. So I get this huge download. And then if I'm working on one person or 5,000 people, it separates into the number of people that are being worked on. And I'm able to see and monitor every person, whether it's 1 or 5,000, simultaneously. And I can see where the energy is going. And yeah, it's at the end of a session, I'm tired, and And that's not a complaint. I'm tired because it takes a lot of energy, but I'm also so grateful that I am tired because it means something happened for you, right? And that's all that matters to me. Um, so I'm in constant, I have constant communication with these beings that work with me. For the most part, they're comedians, and they like to keep things light. So when I'm doing work with big groups, people often call me a stand-up comedian slash healer because I'm trying to keep everybody in a a mood of joy and laughter instead of dread and fearfulness. So we have a lot of fun, and because the energy, again, let me back up, the energy that I work with, which comes from God, is unconditional love. And so what I've learned over the years is that the ingredients to healing from God are unconditional love for you and bliss. And when you have those two ingredients, which what in my knowing are the most powerful energies there are, nothing can survive in the environment of unconditional love and bliss. Nothing. And so if I can tap into you and fill that space that used to hold at dis-ease and fill that with unconditional love, it completely transmutes dis-ease, and it changes everything. And it's unconditional love and bliss. There's no secret. That's what it is. And it's powerful, but it's because it's unconditional love, it doesn't hurt, right? It feels good. You feel like you're being held and nourished when we do the work, not like beaten up and whipped and taken apart and stuff. So it's all quite fascinating. I'm 73. I hope I can do this another 25 years. That's my goal. So why
Yeah,
not?
I hope so too.
Why not?
We were speaking earlier, and you said that you might treat the participants here to a nice little meditation or
Sure,
would you be willing to
sure,
do that?
absolutely. So let me just kind of set it up for you. One of the things that I've noticed over the years is that people don't understand or don't believe or don't trust that they're always surrounded by these beautiful beings, and these beautiful beings that surround us have one responsibility and one responsibility only, and that's to help us. And because we have free will, they will not help us unless we ask. And so one of the things that I've learned, and I tell people all the time, is understand that these beings are here for you. They're very specific for each person. We all have different beings around us. They're the appropriate beings for where you are in your life right now. And if your life changes 5 seconds from now, your beings will change. But they're always the most appropriate, and they're always there for one reason, and that's to help you. But you gotta ask. And they don't want to hear a story. I mean, God knows what's going on with you, right? You don't have to tell your story. Just say, please help me now, and mean it. So what we're going to do here in a minute is I want everyone on this Zoom to have the opportunity to experience what it feels like to be directly connected to God. And when you feel that energy, feel it in your body, you don't need to manage it, you don't need to move it around, you don't need to direct it anyway. It absolutely knows where to go, and it will go exactly where it's supposed to go in the right amount, in the right formula that it's supposed to be in. You don't have to do anything except trust that it's happening and notice what you notice. And and you can do this every day. You can simply just take a deep breath and say, please help me now, and breathe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Or you can, be more specific if you feel like you need to be. But I believe people should have a daily practice of just breathing and knowing that your breath is your connection to God. Your breath is your connection to the unconditional love that comes from God, and to use your breath to fill every cell in your body with unconditional love. And do that in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it takes. And also, one more thing I'll say before we do this is that what I've also learned over the years is that we get so many gifts every moment of every day from the divine. And the greatest gift we get is the gift of 500 million new cells every day. So every day we get 500 million new cells. And I look at that as a gift from God, because these cells are absolutely perfect. They're healthy. They're full of abundance, joy, everything. And they, they don't come at once, but as let's just say they do, they drop in, and what do? They tune into our thoughts. They tune into what we're saying, and they do exactly what we're thinking and what we're saying. So the truth is, you could have a new body if you woke up every morning and say, I'm so grateful for my healthy body and nothing else. You'd have a brand new body in less than a year, regardless of what your dis-ease was. But because we're always talking about our oncologist, our migraines, our this, our that, those cells, as soon as they come into our body, say okay to whatever we say, even if it's something that's not good for us, which is what most of it is. We keep talking about what's wrong with us instead of talking about what we're grateful for. So we get this gift of 500 million new cells every day. And if we spent 5 minutes every morning being in gratitude for these new cells, and being in gratitude for all this beautiful energy around us, and being in gratitude for these beings that are here to help us, our lives can change very quickly if we did nothing else. But we got to believe it, we got to trust it, we got to do it. And so there's all these opportunities for us that we feel we're being selfish or greedy or whatever. I'm like, no, it's there for us. It's our divine right to tap into it. We can have as much as we want, because the more we get, the more everybody around us gets. So you're not being selfish, you're actually helping a fellow man. All right, so that's my sermon on New Year's Eve morning or day. So I just invite everybody to just take a nice deep breath and close your eyes and open your palms up, make sure everything's uncrossed, and just breathe in slowly through your nose, and imagine that you're breathing from above your head. So just imagine that there's a ball of energy, and it can be whatever color you want, over the top of your head, and that you right now can, with your inhale, tap into it. It doesn't come through your brain, it comes around your brain and into your nose, and fills your lungs, fills your heart, fills your rib cage. Just, you can feel it expanding nice and slow, beautiful, unconditional love for you. And just let it settle in, and then easily just let it out with a sigh. Just like that. Another nice deep breath in from above your head. And just see it moving through your body. It can be any color or colors you like. No, it's being directed by the divine. Just observe. You don't have to do anything but observe. Receive, accept, and observe. And notice whatever your body's doing. Is it getting cold? Is it getting hot? Do you feel tingling? Do you feel nothing? Whatever you're feeling is perfect right now. And just do another release. So breathe in through your nose and just exhale with a nice And it's perfect that this is the last day of the year when we're taping this. So it's a good opportunity to let go of whatever we're ready to let go of in our past, and make space in our bodies for renewal and new energy. So we're just going to ask the divine and all the beings that are with us to assist us all right now in the removal of the energies from the past, from our old normal that really weren't normal. They really weren't good for us. Anything that was not working for us, whether it's health or wealth, anything, job, relationship, anything that wasn't working for us, just ask the beings to assist you in letting that energy go. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to let go of that person or persons. It just means you're going to let go of the energy around that person. So another nice deep breath in. You're sending out a card of thanks to the beings around you to help you let all these old energies go. You don't need to know what they are. Just let them go with your breath. And know that as these old energies are leaving, your body's filling with divine love and light, unconditional love for you, filling you with will and strength and courage and wisdom, helping to guide you forward into the next year and the next 10 years of your life. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, and just notice what you notice. It's all good. It's all perfect. And know that this works on 7 generations going back. So you're working on your lineage going backwards, your lineage going forward 7 generations. It goes back to your very first lifetime, wherever that was. And we're looking for these different imprints, whether they come from your past life or your lineage, that are creating something that's not working for you. Take a nice deep breath. Beautiful. And just shrug your shoulders and move your head around a little bit. Just move your body around a little bit. Keep the energy flowing. If any emotions come up, just allow them to rise to the surface and express themselves and leave. You may have sudden little pains or aches come up as things are your body's letting things go. Again, you don't need to know what you're letting go of. You're just grateful that you are. Most of the stuff that we're letting go of is subconscious. It's buried. We don't even know what it is, but it's still creating an outcome we don't enjoy in this lifetime. So we just go back and get all these little irritants out of the body and set you up for a new beginning starting tomorrow, the first day of the new year. Nice. And you can play this recording if you want to do this again at home, or you can just modify it to whatever works for you. The important ingredients are that you just breathe deeply and get out of the way. Let your mind just be idle for a moment. Go inward and go into silence and go into the knowing that when you breathe, you're breathing in divine light, unconditional love for you, from God, for you, from the divine, from whatever word works for you. This is not a religious exercise, it's a spiritual exercise, and whatever spiritual beings that you may be drawn to are perfect for you. We all, it's basically the same beings, but we all have a different perspective of them. So whatever works for you, whatever comes through in your mind is absolutely perfect for you. Beautiful. And if you would just place one hand on your heart, just feel the energy in your heart. One of the decisions that's being asked for us to make in the new year is to speak from our heart, to come from our heart, to be aware of the energy of our heart, to be aware of our own love and compassion for ourselves and all others, and be really heart-centered as we move forward into 2022. This is the year of being in our heart. This is the year of transition to all mankind coming into their hearts, coming away from greed and violence and all these other things. So we can set the collective consciousness energy right now, but by deciding that for each one of us, for me, for you, that we're going to be coming from heart-centered thought, heart-centered manifestation, heart-centered love, gratitude for all living things. And just take some nice deep breaths. The best thing you can do for yourself each day when you wake up is and spend a few moments listing everything you're grateful for. Before you even get into what you're going to do that day or how your body feels or anything, I'm grateful for all my gifts and blessings, the beautiful scenery, my parents, my children, my puppy, whatever you're grateful for. And the same thing at night when you start falling asleep, you just go into a list of everything you're grateful for. So you start your day and you end your day in heartfelt gratitude and set your body up with that energy, because that creates healing faster than anything. Okay, just take another nice deep breath and gradually come back into your space. Open your eyes. How do you feel there, my friend? You're all shiny, so something happened.
Yeah, full of peace, love, and light. It's,
That's what it's all about, and it's simply just using your breath to connect can change everything. And we're not good breathers as humans. We breathe shallow instead of deep and slow. And that's because we get down into their emotional body. The breath triggers emotions. And so we think we're protecting ourselves by breathing here, or we're really not. We're holding onto our stuff by shallow breathing. So learn to belly breathe and just do it every day, a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes at night. Be grateful for everything in your life, all your gifts and blessings. And if you do nothing else, you'll notice a big change.
Thank you so much, Rob. That was beautiful. And I know everybody watching is altered and changed in a beautiful way. So,
And we have these seven free healing calls. They're almost an hour long, each one of them, that you can download from the website, that are free.
yeah.
And we'll send them to you. Lots of people listen to them at night when they go to bed with no volume because the energy is working on them while they're sleeping. People sleep better, they feel better just listening to a call at night. We also have these cards we call angel cards, which are infused with the energy of the same energy that I work with, and we send those to you for free. So there's lots of free stuff on the website. Just go to the healing tools and download or ask for angel cards or whatever you need to do, because we're here to help people change their lives as quickly as we can.
That's so beautiful. You're so generous. And yes, we'll have a link to your website in your profile during this summit. And I guess any final words? You've said so much.
My final words are just watch the fear level. We're being broadcast with a lot of fear, and there's a lot of fear going around, and it's just do your best to avoid all these places that are broadcasting fear. I don't watch the news anymore. I watch cooking shows and do things that make me laugh, right? And or travel shows, and I'm not buying into all this stuff because I know what's really happening. We're going through a transition. We're ending a very long 20 some thousand year cycle where we got to clean up all this junk that we polluted ourselves with. So it doesn't feel good coming out, but the outcome is going to be a much different planet that we're living on. So have faith and trust in that and believe that, and stay in your heart, stay in your love and compassion for yourself first, and then all others, and just watch what happens and let me know.
Thanks again, Rob, for your wisdom and
Anytime.
generosity. And, yeah, much appreciated. So,
You're so welcome.
yeah.
Always here for anyone that needs help. So let me know.
Okay. Be sure to tune in to all the other experts and healers here in the Healing Trauma Through Conscious Embodiment Summit. Thank you.